Some say that TV talk show host Wendy Williams is something of a wild card. She's ruffled a lot of feathers, and she also isn't the most well-liked person in Hollywood either. In fact, she's been in a few scandals and has made a lot of insensitive comments, which is why she probably isn't Hollywood's top pick for, well, anything. From controversial comments to scandals, I've compiled a list of negatives that may have affected the way Hollywood sees Wendy, so let's count down the top 10 reasons Hollywood won't hire Wendy Williams. At number 10, Britney Controversy. When the drama surrounding Britney Spears and her conservatorship was at its height, everyone seemed to want to put their 2 cents in and contribute to the conversation and the criticisms being thrown towards Britney's family, especially her father. Talk show host Wendy Williams was one of the many people who shared their opinion on the matter and took things one step further and made her comments about the situation on air of her show. She was discussing Britney's ongoing court battle with her audience when she made comments about how Britney's parents had the public fooled into thinking that they were doing what was best for the pop star. After learning more information as to what was really going on in that situation, we found out that things were much more rocky than we once thought, and because this was so unfair to Britney, this got Wendy pretty heated because she followed up her criticisms of the Spears family by saying, quote, "Death to them all," end quote. This comment went just a little bit too far for people's liking, and Wendy faced a lot of backlash for it. The comment ultimately had to be edited out of the show, and there were a handful of people demanding that Wendy apologize to Britney's family for what she said. Wendy ended up getting a lot of bad press for the weeks following the incident, and as we all know by now, for a celebrity, bad press is a very dangerous thing to have, which may have just added to the list of reasons why Hollywood might not like the TV personality. At number 9, gender roles. Now this one ended up getting 2 people in trouble, but since Wendy was one of those who faced backlash for the comments they made, I'm including it on this list. Earlier this year, a clip resurfaced of an interview that Wendy had with Marvel actor Anthony Mackie, and things got messy. In the clip, Wendy and Anthony were discussing their views on gender roles in relationships. Wendy and Anthony both said that they believe in traditional gender roles, which is to say that they believe that a man is supposed to do the hard labor and the woman is supposed to cook and clean and provide for her husband. Like an archaic kind of partnership. This isn't the most popular opinion these days, which is why when these 2 spoke out about it in the interview, people got upset. Most of the heat was on Anthony Mackie because he said that his woman's job is to, quote, "make daddy a sandwich," and as you could imagine, that did not go over very well with the audience, but the fact that Wendy agreed and didn't try to shut down Anthony's comments is why she also faced some scrutiny. These types of opinions, like I said, are pretty unpopular, so this could be another reason why Wendy isn't very well liked in Hollywood. Now before I carry on talking about why Hollywood might not like Wendy Williams very much, I would first like to ask you guys to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and also maybe subscribe to the channel if you want to keep seeing more videos like this one. At number 8, shading Lizzo. I'm a strong believer in letting people wear whatever makes them happy. I don't think that certain people should have to miss out on wearing what they want and expressing themselves through fashion for anything or anyone. But no matter what, there will always be people ready to shade and shame people for what they wear, and that includes Wendy Williams, who back in 2019 shamed Lizzo for what she wore to a basketball game. During a segment on her show, Wendy made a number of comments on the thong dress that the singer wore to a Lakers game. In one part of the segment, the TV host said, quote, "Lizzo has a really good career right now, so I understand her happiness, but in all actuality, you see the thong, right? That's not a dress that she pulled up, that's a dress that has a cutout going on, which means she was sitting booty down on the seat, booty down in the car, she was walking booty exposed into the theater," end quote. Wendy also commented on the fact that she was surprised that the singer wasn't stopped by security for the way that she was dressed. Wendy wasn't the only person to make a comment about the dress. In fact, that dress was a hot topic for a while, but Lizzo was unfazed. Those who did have a problem with the commentary that was made about the dress were the singer's fans, who really went in on Wendy, calling her out for being rude and going too far with her comments. At number 7, Wendy versus Nicki Minaj. When Wendy Williams sees something that she thinks is off or even remotely controversial, you know that she's going to talk about it on her show. It's kind of just a given at this point. On one of her Hot Topic segments, Wendy went off about Nicki Minaj, her husband Kenneth Perry, and his controversial past. Because of Kenneth's past offenses, Wendy called him names that I am not allowed to repeat for YouTube purposes, but it did kind of go too far for Nicki because she was quick to clap back in order to defend her man. After seeing a clip of what Wendy said about her husband, Nicki shared her thoughts on the matter in an interview a short time later where she said, quote, "It's not about doing your job. There are people who report the news, and there are people who do it with an evil intent in their heart. Viciousness. And I pray for you because I know you're hurting. I know you must be sick and humiliated." End quote. She continued to go off on Wendy in the interview, but I think we get the point. That commentary from Wendy definitely crossed the line, and now she has an enemy in Hollywood, which is definitely not good. At number 6, parenting advice. Keeping with the theme of Wendy putting her 2 cents in and getting in trouble for it, let's talk about her commentary on Brad Pitt and his relationship with his son Maddox. In 2019, rumors surfaced that Brad and his son Maddox were having a rough time after it was alleged that there was some kind of altercation between the two of them. It was said that Maddox was no longer speaking to his father, and Wendy decided to share some advice with Brad on how to talk to his son. During a segment on her show, Wendy shared her advice where she said, quote, "I don't know whether Brad has tried to reach out to this boy. I must say that he might be blocked on Maddox's phone, but Brad can fly to Korea and squat outside the dorm. I mean, there are things that parents can do, particularly if you have endless amounts of money. If you want to reconnect with this boy, then leave Angelina out of it and you go over there and you basically just stalk him in the name of love." End quote. People thought that her comments were a little unnecessary and a bit insensitive based on the information about the altercation that caused the rift between Brad and Maddox. Do you think that her comments were uncalled for? Let me know down in the comments. At number 5, vocal coach. This next story I'm gonna tell you says a lot about Wendy Williams and what people actually think about her. Back in February 2018, Wendy made some comments about Beyonce and her singing the national anthem at the Super Bowl, and one of the articles that talked about this incident was titled, quote, "Wendy Williams proves she's learned nothing, attacks our Lord and Savior Beyonce's singing ability." End quote. The fact that the title says proves that she's learned nothing kind of shows that the TV host has been clocked for this behavior before, and Hollywood has had enough with her attitude, so to speak. Basically, the story here is that during one of her segments, Wendy talked about Beyonce and a number of other singers' vocal abilities, saying that they all needed auto-tune. As you could imagine, fans of the singers that were named were not happy with the comments that Wendy made, and she faced some hate on Twitter. I just thought that the response plus the headline really showed what people think of Wendy and how unimpressed they are with her at this point. At number 4, beef with Tupac. Apparently, the late Tupac Shakur had beef with Wendy Williams, and I had no idea about it. This beef was messy, and in 2016, radio host Angie Martinez shared a transcript in her memoir from an interview that she had with the rapper, who explained why he had bad blood with Wendy. In the transcript, Tupac explained that he had beef with Wendy after she told people that he had been violated in jail. Apart from this interview, Tupac also went in on his beef with Wendy in his diss track, "Why You Turn On Me," but Wendy didn't really take much offense to what he said on the track. Instead, she saw it as free clout, which I mean is definitely one way of looking at things, I suppose. At number 3, Method Man. By now, we are all aware that Wendy Williams is very outspoken. I mean, she's not known to hold anything back, and apparently that also includes other people's secrets. Back in 2006, rapper Method Man called Wendy out for having exposed his wife's cancer diagnosis to the world on her radio show. When speaking out about the situation, the rapper said that at the time when Wendy exposed that big news, his wife hadn't even told all of her family members yet. He said that when he heard Wendy come on the air and say whatever about his wife, he was so mad that he, quote, "started crying right there," end quote. It certainly isn't fair that Wendy did something like that, and that's a good way to get people to hate you real quick, and obviously in Hollywood, that is never a good thing. At number 2, Aaliyah Biopic. Back in 2014, Wendy Williams made a movie. It was a biopic about the late Aaliyah, and it faced heaps of backlash when it was released. Between the backlash from the movie's casting choices to the content of the film, and even the fact that Aaliyah's family didn't even want the movie to be made in the first place, there was just a lot of negativity surrounding that movie. There were concerns that the film romanticized certain relationships, and if you know anything about Aaliyah, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. On top of that, there was also the concern that the way some of the painful stories told in the film were distasteful. Making a film and having it face that much negativity is certainly not a good thing, especially where your place in Hollywood is concerned. As the executive producer for the film, Wendy faced a lot of criticism, but as she normally does, she just brushed it off. And finally, at number 1, transphobic comment. There have been many times when Wendy has said something incredibly offensive. I mean, I covered a lot of that on this list, but one of the top rudest things that she said in recent years has to be the comment that she made about Caitlyn Jenner. Back in 2016, Cosmopolitan released an issue with the Kardashians on the cover. Wendy saw the cover and pointed out that, quote, "it features all the Kardashian women," end quote. She could have just left the comment there, but she just had to take it one step further and say, quote, No, not Caitlyn. Caitlyn still has a member, end quote. Wendy ended up cracking up at her own joke and got others to laugh along with her at the transphobic comment that she made. There was really no reason for her to say something like that at all. These days, when you get clocked for something offensive like that can definitely damage your career severely, and that seems to be the case here with Wendy since Hollywood doesn't want to hire her. Now before I wrap things up for today, I want you guys to let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are on Wendy Williams. Do you like her, hate her, or could you care less? I want to know all about it down in the comments. Anyways, that's it for me. I've been your host, Brie, and until next time, stay safe, make good choices, and stay groovy, friends.